When evaluating photographic ghost evidence seriously, the strongest candidates are not anonymous images uploaded to message boards, but photographs with documented origins, named photographers, surviving negatives or files, and some level of independent examination. Even then, none cross the line into scientific proof. What they represent instead are enduring anomalies, images that remain debated because they cannot be neatly closed as either obvious hoax or definitively supernatural. The Brown Lady of Raynham Hall, taken in 1936 at Raynham Hall, remains perhaps the most famous ghost photograph ever published. Captain Hubert Provan was photographing the estate's interior for Country Life when his assistant claimed to see a misty figure descending the staircase. Provan quickly exposed a glass plate negative. When developed, the image appeared to show a glowing, semi-transparent female form tapering into vapor near the lower steps. The figure was associated with Lady Dorothy Walpole, a historical residence surrounded by tragic legend. At the time, glass plate negatives were relatively difficult to fake convincingly, and the image was reportedly examined without clear evidence of tampering. Skeptics have argued that a double exposure or light leak could explain the apparition, and that long exposure in low light may have captured someone moving on the staircase. Importantly, no conclusive demonstration of fraud has ever been established, but no controlled recreation has proven a paranormal cause either. Its status persists because it sits between technical plausibility and unresolved anomaly. Tulip Staircase Ghost, captured in 1966 at the Queen's House by Reverend Ralph Hardy, presents a similar tension. Hardy stated that he saw nothing unusual when taking the photograph, yet the developed film appeared to reveal a veiled figure climbing the elegant spiral staircase, one hand seemingly resting on the railing. The negative was reportedly examined by Kodak technicians, who found no evidence of manipulation. However, interior photography during that era often required slower shutter speeds due to film limitations. A person ascending the stairs during a multi-second exposure could produce a translucent effect, especially if wearing light-colored clothing. Architectural shadows and the curvature of the staircase may enhance the illusion of a human form. Despite these plausible explanations, no reconstruction has perfectly matched the exact appearance of the figure. The case remains open in the sense that it lacks definitive proof of hoax, but it also lacks controlled evidence of anything paranormal. The Wem Town Hall ghost is a more modern and more controversial case. In 1995, a fire consumed Wem Town Hall. Amateur photographer Tony O'Rahilly captured multiple images of the blaze. In one frame, a small girl appears standing calmly in a doorway amid intense flames. Fire officials confirmed that no children were inside the building during the incident. The image quickly became associated with local folklore about a girl who allegedly died in a historical fire. Later analysis suggested that the figure resembles a commercially available postcard image, raising suspicion of compositing. The photographer denied altering the photograph. Some analysts argued that lighting and grain consistency supported authenticity, while others believed the resemblance to the postcard was too strong to ignore. Because the photograph emerged during a period when digital editing was becoming more accessible, the evidentiary threshold for authenticity became higher. Without comprehensive forensic testing of the original negative under modern standards, the debate remains unresolved. A fourth case often cited in discussions of potential photographic spirit evidence is the Freddie Jackson ghost photograph. Taken in 1919 at an RAF training facility, the group portrait shows members of a Royal Air Force squadron posing together. Behind one of the seated men appears the faint but recognizable face of another man. According to squadron members, the face resembles Freddie Jackson, a mechanic who had died in an aircraft accident 2 days before the photograph was taken. Some accounts claim that Jackson's funeral was occurring on the same day as the photo session. The image was widely circulated and discussed for decades. Skeptics argue that the face could be the result of double exposure, a common occurrence in early 20th century photography if plates were reused or improperly developed. The positioning of the face aligns naturally with the head height of the surrounding men, which supports the double exposure hypothesis. However, proponents note that multiple squadron members reportedly identified the face as Jackson's. As with the earlier cases, no surviving documentation conclusively proves intentional trickery, yet the photographic processes of the time allow for entirely normal technical explanations. Across all four examples, a pattern emerges. Each photograph has a traceable origin, identifiable individuals involved, and a historical context that prevents immediate dismissal as anonymous internet fabrication. None rely on digital creepypasta culture for their credibility, yet none meet the scientific standard for establishing the existence of ghosts. A single photograph captures a complex interaction of light, motion, exposure time, lens characteristics, and environmental variables. Especially in older photography, long exposures, glass plate reuse, motion blur, reflections, smoke, and light leaks were common sources of anomalies. The enduring power of these images lies in ambiguity. They provide just enough structure to resemble a human presence, while lacking the clarity that would allow definitive classification. Human perception is highly tuned to detect faces and bodies, even in partial or distorted patterns. When a shape vaguely aligns with human anatomy, the brain completes the rest. This psychological tendency, combined with emotionally charged backstories, sustains belief long after technical explanations are proposed. It is also important to directly address the possibility that all four photographs could be fake, either deliberately staged or unintentionally manipulated through photographic processes. In the cases of the Brown Lady of Raynham Hall and the Freddie Jackson ghost photograph, double exposure was a well-known and relatively common occurrence in early 20th century photography, whether accidental through plate reuse or intentional as a darkroom technique. Creating a ghostly overlay did not require modern digital tools. It could be done with careful timing and access to negatives. The tulip staircase ghost could theoretically have involved staged movement during a long exposure, producing a translucent figure without any paranormal element. As for the Wem Town Hall ghost, it emerged at a time when digital compositing was becoming increasingly accessible, and the similarity between the figure and a known postcard image raises the real possibility of deliberate insertion. In all four cases, while no definitive proof of intentional fraud has been universally accepted, the technical means to fake such images absolutely existed in their respective eras. That does not prove they were staged, but it does mean that the possibility of fabrication cannot be ruled out simply because the photographs appear old or were examined at the time. In the end, these four photographs remain culturally significant not because they prove ghosts exist, but because they occupy a narrow and fascinating space between documented reality and unresolved interpretation. They demonstrate how photography, which many assume to be objective, can produce moments where certainty dissolves, and in that uncertainty, the supernatural narrative finds room to grow.